Mark, what is one piece of investor relations material or pitch materials that has made the biggest impact in your conversation rate and working with investors compared to maybe before you previously used it?
So when we got started back in 2006, there was no general solicitation. So it was a 506B offering and a PPM. And honestly, it was really all word of mouth. Friends and family, it started out that way, and then obviously from there it was referrals. So when we have now, through the recent legislation from the Obama administration, been able to do a 506C where we can generally solicit. So we're obviously very focused, and I will tell you that I'm old enough to tell you I don't know what I don't know. So I literally have a lot of people beneath me to show me the ways of the internet and the worlds of social marketing, social media marketing. So we do a lot of work with a company called Realmex. We have a database software of roughly 40,000 names at this point of interest that have shown interest over our 17-year history. And we spend a lot of time on that with regards to blogging, with regards to showing pertinent information that's relative to our space and actually our marketplace. Again, not everybody in Indiana wants to invest in the Bay Area, but we do focus on specifically those people who do. In addition to that, the other, I think, real advantage we have is we have been focusing in the family office space recently with a software package called Fintrix, and that's been extremely helpful for us in identifying people who actually are like-minded, and we've done very well with that in regards to finding family offices that like our space. We are a specific menu item, so if we're not in your menu, then we get it, but those who definitely are in our menu item, we focus on them. So I would say face-to-face, post-COVID has always been the best methodology in my old person's book.
Michael, I kind of want to jump to you with that same question because you being in the crypto space, I feel like that is such a wide variety of who's okay with it, who knows it, who has zero interest in it. So how do you overcome that, or what has helped set you apart with a material or an aspect that you present?
Well, again, we're a fund for accredited investors. I guess I could reach out to the audience. I know everybody's pretty much here as an accredited investor, but how many people here, this is not crypto, just in general, are currently allocating into either hedge funds or venture capital funds? Show of hands. Okay. Seems like they're all in the back. They don't want to be disturbed. Second question is, how many people are currently looking at a cryptocurrency investment of any kind? Okay, even smaller number of hands, also in the back. Awesome. But so those who put your hands up on either of those, you should come to our booth, Alpha Transform, and we're going to be holding a little private dinner tonight for people who are allocators or interested in cryptocurrency investors. So those 15 or 20 of you, that's about the size of our private dining room. So that's marketing.
That's marketing. Okay, I see what you did there. I appreciate that. You can jump into the middle. Chase, do you want to answer that question?
Sure. I think for us, speaking to some of the COVID face-to-face aspect, it's been a blend of what we learned in COVID and still applying it now while bringing back the face-to-face. We haven't done any general solicitation. We have about 1,300 individuals who keep a pulse on our investments and about 700 who have invested. And I think the difference that the feedback we've received is what we do is we have investor meetings where for any given opportunity, we've done over 20 different investments across different industries. We'll have a meeting where we have either the founder of that company come and pitch and talk about how they built to where they're at, their plan, their projections, et cetera. Have the investors, we usually have about 50 in person and over 100 on Zoom. And so we'll broadcast it live, have people come, meet them, hear the strategy from the founder, not from us and from our deck, because a lot of people I'm sure some of you experience this. It's pretty shocking when you have a data room with abundance of diligence materials and models. The percentage of people that actually look at that compared to the percentage of people that invest, it's pretty shocking. And I think people like, again, to hear that face-to-face. So having the in-person meeting, and then what we do is not only broadcast it on Zoom, but we'll record it and send out the replay for the other 600 that can't make it that day at that time. So they can have that face-to-face experience. They can feel like a sophisticated investor, whether they are a family office or they're a retail investor. They can pause the replay, they can rewind it. They have full access to that. So that's been a huge asset for us.
Awesome. Sophie, do you have something to add?
Well, I was about to say, I mean, we're going through exactly the same process,
Okay.
right? And we're opening a data room, by the way. So, you know, exactly the same thing. I mean, COVID has actually, you know, made us think that, you know, face-to-face, nothing beats face-to-face, basically. And this is what we were aware of since COVID, basically. And of course, I met a lot of investors, you know, like online, and never met them physically. But then it wouldn't have the same impact as when you meet them, like, you know, physically. And that's for sure. And the reason why, you know, I traveled from Dubai, where I'm based. It's 12 hours difference. I mean, and I think, I mean, it's worth it most of the time. So I can realize that, you know, the conversion rate, like the engagement rate, is higher when you meet people face to face, basically. So exactly the same as just you mentioned.
Yeah. Has anybody on this panel had extreme success with the opposite, with being completely Zoom or completely remote and versus meeting in person?
In a way, I mean, our team is really geographically diverse. We have a partner in Barcelona, we have a team in Asia, and so time zones never, ever align. And so inevitably, 2/3 of the team is doing something virtual and meeting. We can't always meet in person, or we can't even, we're actually meeting asynchronous now. So, you know, much more goes into that team building and trust internally in terms of how we operate, and then being able to engage with, you know, entrepreneurs we're working with as well. It's if you can get to those conferences where there's a large group, when you get people in the room, that's super important. But being able to also work asynchronously and have to basically, we're not giving up the Zoom. You know, it's just going to be part of our lives, unfortunately.
It's not always possible to do every meeting physically, and it's not just COVID. When I started Bid Angels in 2013, it was getting investors from Japan and Korea and the Soviet Union, together with startups from Peru and you know, Mexico City and the Philippines, and so you couldn't get them all in one place. And so really the first couple of years was people pitching, you know, through, it was before Zoom actually. It was on GoToMeeting.com, and you know, we had in February of 2014 Vitalik talking to everybody about this thing called Ethereum he was building. And so we still today, BidAngels.network, if you're interested in just funding individual crypto companies in their early stages, we're in 25 cities, but we also have a monthly Zoom, which is for the companies that are not in those places, or for ones that did really good in the local chapter, and we feel that should be exposed to a larger audience. And then they all end up at the annual Coin Agenda conferences that we put on.
Okay. And do you do a lot of in-person or virtual
Yes.
meetings?
So prior to actually starting Return on Good, my husband and I owned a digital marketing company. So I'm all about the digital marketing. We sold it to venture capital and our exit. The internet's the great equalizer, right? Like the internet is where we live in a global economy and we're able to communicate with anyone. So I'm a giant proponent of video, huge proponent of a 30-second elevator pitch of here is a crisp, concise message that my high school son can understand or my 75-year-old mom can understand. So I guess I would say that every method of communication, in person, Zoom, is important. But the internet, crisp digital, and a very crisp digital pitch, I think is really important.
Yeah, the only thing that I would add is I think that Zoom or virtual meetings add some efficiency. And I think what I find is a lot of investors want to have that initial meeting virtually, and then they want to have a follow-up meeting. If they want to have a follow-up meeting it's in person. We did that. It was very effective for us. We went to the JP Morgan Healthcare Conference, and I don't know, I think there was one group that we met with there that we had not met with virtually, but the majority of the meetings were follow-up meetings.
Great. I have to agree. I do a lot of first-time phone calls with someone that's just calling in and inquiring about what is a family office or what do you do, and so I have a lot of those first-time calls, and then I move to a Zoom meeting and do a full, "Hi, I'm Holly. Nice to put a face to a name," and those go a long way, and then finally getting to meet everyone in person at these events that we host. So good to hear that. We do have about 4 minutes left of this panel, so I want to open up and see if anybody has any questions, because this has been some great conversations happening up here. And is anybody out there struggling with their opportunity and have any specific questions about how to just get to that next step or that next level that anybody can ask the panelists up here? Everybody's perfect. Everybody's raising.
I'll share
their
one
hands?
thing quickly while people are thinking about questions to ask. Back to this kind of, you were asking about how to present and package and communicate what you're doing. One of the things, because we're very, very early stage, and we're really investing in a category change of new capital that's moving into climate, environment, and natural assets. And so our portfolio is very diverse. So being able to find an aggregate number that kind of represents the traction of the portfolio was super important for us. We have 19 investments thus far. It's a pre-seed strategy, so there'll be ultimately 60 tech projects in the fund. And how do you come to understand those when they come from renewable energy to forestry and all these other areas? So being able to say what was the net new demand across the portfolio from inbound LOIs, memorandums of understanding, or actual sales traction, and then being able to talk about the net new supply that people were bringing on market via acreage, like basically how much of the planet is our technology touching, and being able to put those two together. We have 130 million in net new demand coming into all of the portfolio, was a great way to shorthand what's happening across 20 different companies.
Great. Did anybody have any questions? Perfect. Over here.
Okay. Hello, everybody. My name is Jazam. I'm with the Nest Egg Builder, and my question is for Chase. Hey, Chase. I was totally impressed with how you mentioned that you raised $500 million in 3 years. Can you share some insight or some tips as to how you and your team were able to accomplish such a goal?
Yeah,
Great
absolutely. I think, again, it goes back to the innovation in marketing, but it starts with finding great deals. We like to view investing as having great returns, great investments it's kind of like the bare minimum to participate. Obviously, if these people didn't have great investments, great opportunities, they would or will go out of business. All of us would. Like inevitably, you won't stick around if you don't have good returns. That's the bare minimum to participate. So I think viewing that as, okay, that's the bare minimum. Now, how do we excel? And so that's where that innovation in marketing has come into place. And it's getting feedback from investors and saying, hey, how could we make this easier for you? Again, to the data room, for the small percent that actually look at those materials, it's what do you want to see in the data room that's not there? What outputs are easy for your team to digest for our family office clients? And for our retail clients, it's having the simplified materials, it's having the videos, it's having the replays, it's having a one-page summary that people can see. And then I think, honestly, you have to view it also as a bit of a sales funnel, in the sense that people need follow-up, they need communication, they need deadlines. We'll often create arbitrary deadlines because people without a deadline, they just don't act. And so it's having that and helping people move along, following up, not being overbearing. It's, hey, you watch the Zoom meeting, any questions we can help answer. Hey, reminder, our wire deadline is next Friday by 5 p.m. end of day. Any way we can help in that process. And so it's that, and it's also building out the team, having the right people in the right seats, to have the talented individuals to do the diligence. I'm not the one that's deep in the model. His name's Alden Funk, and he could crank on that thing till 4 a.m. every morning. But it's also having the compliance, the legal, the operations, people that can answer questions at any time of day. I think we really stress, replying right away. It doesn't matter if it's 8 p.m. at night, you gotta respond. So those are a few thoughts. Hopefully that was helpful.
Awesome. Well, thank you, everyone on this panel, and thank you for the audience to participation.
Join the Family Office Club by visiting familyoffices.com. We look forward to seeing you at our next live event.